Greetings, this is Laloria Kanata, Policy Studies Librarian, here with research tips to help you get started for your assignment for Social Work 3000 Cultural Diversity. Starting here at the library's homepage, library.gsu, let's find the research guide I've developed for the class. So let's select Research Guides and browse guides by subject. Okay, there we are. Social Work 3000. And let's look at the article databases that you're going to use to search. Now, of course, the assignment is looking at different dominant, less dominant cultures and identities. So I've created a few keywords for us to use just to get started. Now, notice something like race and ageism. In a minute, we'll go and do a search in age line that may be appropriate there. And something dealing with gender, sexuality, we'll look at LGBTQ plus source. But for most topics, APA Psych Info should be okay. So let me copy and paste that first one. Example. And we look for white privilege and bias. Okay. So that's a pretty sort of a narrow search. We only have 20 results. Let me just point out a few things in this database. It defaults to full text. So if we take this off, we can broaden our search to 58. If it's not full text in this database, it may be full text in another database. And so let's limit it to peer reviewed. And we're back. Well, we added 8 more, a link in the full text. Now, if we had hundreds of results, one thing you may want to do is look at the different subject headings. Let's do show more to look at all subject headings. And you can select as many of these as you need to and then update. I'm not going to select any because we have a pretty good list already. The other good thing about APA Psych Info is that the different ways that you can narrow your search, you can focus it to deal with a certain age group. And we can also, so that brought it down to 15 from 28. And let me take that off. You can also limit it to gender. So I'm not going to select that. And this is one of the few databases that has this option as far as limited by age, gender, methodology, population. So let's look at this first one. Okay. This was published in 2018, so it's fairly recent. Now, if you want to do another search and you wonder what keywords to use, look at some of the keywords used here. People of color, prejudice, those might be other terms that you can go back and use. For your bibliography, you can select Cite, and that'll give you the option to copy and paste into your paper. If you want to email this link to yourself or this citation, just make sure you select the correct citation format, and then it will show up in your email in that format so you can copy and paste there. This is the full text. So you can download that here. The other thing I want to point out, because sometimes one article leads to several more, and over here on the left, the cited references are the articles or the bibliography for this article that we're looking at. So you can select that and see something like that may be of use. And you can browse through those 48. And then we have time cited in this database, means these 5 articles have cited this one. So maybe they've picked up the research, taken it a step further, updated it. And then we see something, racial allyship, that may be on topic. Again, look at the subjects. And so that one article could possibly lead you to 5 more on your topic. And that's just one example. So let's go back. We did that search in APA Psych Info. All of these should work in APA Psych Info, but there may be an occasion where you really do want to use age line if you're dealing with ageism as one of your variables. So let's try age line. And in some cases, although they're all EBSCO databases, it may be useful to search in more than one. There may be a small subset that are different in each. So let's say race and ageism. Again, this is a pretty good list with only 22, so that's not too bad to go through. This database, like the other one, defaults to full text, so let's take that off. And that really broadened out search. Let's see. Okay, so let's look at this one. See, it's an academic journal, and the full text. We took the full text link off, and again, look at the subject terms. You can go back, select some of these, something like social classes and ageism. We could try something like that. But to find the full text, let's select find it at gsu.edu. And if we have it full text somewhere else, and we do, it comes up in these databases. This has taken us to the online catalog. And so it knows where we have this journal. And just like the database, you can copy and paste the citation from here. You can copy that there for your bibliography. So at this point, I'm going to select this one since this is a different vendor. And there's the full text for this article, which was 2018-2019. And sort of like your Amazon You May Like feature, we have related items over here. And so just another way where you may find additional resources. Okay, so we started here, and that took us to the catalog after we selected the find it at gsu.edu. So let's go back to the result links. So if you're, I like to recommend you unlink that, because you could miss very relevant articles, and we could still have full text access to it in other places. For this one, this database has books and dissertations, so in this case, unless you have time to read a book, you may want to limit the results to academic journals. You still have 41. This first one, gender, race, and age, looks like a pretty good list. And depending on your requirements for the assignment, you may want to narrow down the date range for the published articles, and that brought it down back to 28. Again, a very manageable list. So we've done two of these searches: white privilege and bias and APA site info. All of these should work in there. And we really got specific using race and ageism as that keywords in AgeLine. Now I want to go to Google Scholar, and if you haven't set up your computer, your device, so it recognizes you as a GSU student, take a look at this tutorial, very short tutorial on how to do that. Google Scholar. If you're having trouble coming up with your keywords, I suggest using Google Scholar because you can put in a phrase. So I am going to try tensions between Nigerians and African Americans, because these are very different groups. Culture is different. And because I done that tutorial, it recognizes what GSU has full text access to. That's why you see some of this over there. Yeah, find it at GSU, find it at GSU. So those are things that we have access to. So something like this, exploring discursive challenges between African Americans and African born U.S. immigrants. And because I'm logged in already, it recognizes me as a GSU person, and I can download that article there. But again, keywords that we could possibly use. Use Google Scholar as a starting point if you're having trouble coming up with keywords, and then once you see a pattern in the results, that should, when you find a couple of articles and look at those keywords, that should give you an idea on what you can use for your keywords. So I am going to go back to APA Psych Info, and let's just try and African born, just some keywords from this. African immigrants, let's try that. African immigrants, and we could try a few things here. Before I narrow it down, let's see what comes up with just this. Okay. 149. Now, let's try to narrow that down by adding another word. African Americans and African immigrants. Let's say communication. Okay, so that really narrowed it down to 13. And if you were looking through this list, it doesn't look as relevant as the other list. We can again take the full text link off, do peer reviewed, and let's see if we can get ideas from the subjects. Okay, this is what I'm looking for. Cross-cultural differences. That's what it is. And let's update. I'll just select blacks, immigration, African cultural groups. Okay, that looks like a better list. Okay. Now if I just want to take off some of the subject headings, just focus on cross-cultural difference. Okay. And so we've narrowed it down that way. And then I may want to go back. So started with looking at Nigerian. Oh, an even better search. Something like here. Okay, so we found a few articles. We started with APA Psych Info. Then we looked at H line and LGBTQ plus source. Maybe another good, if you're dealing with queer issues, that may be a good place. But first start here. And if you're having trouble coming up with keywords, take a look at this. Set your device up so it recognizes you as a GSU student and go ahead and do your search there to get an idea of what's available and possible keywords. And if you're really want to learn, there are a series of videos here in some of these cultural areas. You can go through the channel and this link here, if there's some questions about services, take a look here and this will help with some of those questions. APA citations. Now again, we looked at copying and pasting the citations from here, from within the database, and also if you email it you can copy and paste there. But this gives you more info on how to do that list. Okay, so hopefully that's been useful for you. If you have any questions, please contact the library anytime for assistance. Good luck.